It is Christmas in Germany. The markets are open, the lights are on. The smell of mulled wine and roasted almonds fills the cold air. Children walk between the wooden stalls with their parents. This is one of the oldest living traditions in European culture, a ritual that has survived wars, revolutions, and the collapse of empires. On this specific night in Hanover, a group of men walked into the middle of it, not to participate or buy something, but to make a point. They fired fireworks directly at a child, and the mainstream media in Germany covered almost none of it. Stay with me. What is happening at German Christmas markets, in German parks, outside German churches, and on German streets this winter is not a series of random incidents captured on camera. It is a pattern of deliberate public behavior designed to send one message: this space is ours now too. And the people whose job it is to report that to you have largely chosen not to. Every December, German cities transform. The Christmas market is not just a street fair. It is a living monument. Wooden stalls line cobblestone squares that have seen centuries of history. Families gather beneath lights strung high above, the air thick with the scent of cinnamon and roasting chestnuts. Children laugh as they clutch steaming mugs of cocoa, their cheeks red from the cold. Here, the rituals run deeper than commerce. These markets are cathedrals of memory, places where grandparents pass down stories and neighbors greet each other as if time itself slows for a few precious weeks. Attendance is staggering. Hanover alone draws up to 3 million visitors every season. For many, this is the heart of the year, a civic tradition that outlasted bombs, dictatorships, and the collapse of old orders. The Christmas market is sanctuary, spectacle, and social glue. It represents a promise that in the darkest months, light and order will return. This is what stands to be lost. A tourist known online as @Wanderlust Travels uploads a short phone clip from Parc des Buttes-Chaumont in Paris. The GPS tag is unmistakable. Limestone bridges, the Temple de la Sibylle, not a Christmas market, but a public space loaded with its own history. The timestamp reads March 14, 2024, 4:22 p.m. Central European Time, mid-afternoon. Families and couples sprawled across the grass. But the atmosphere is anything but ordinary. The camera sweeps across the crowd. French is spoken, but the faces, the clothing, the clusters of men, something feels off to the visitor. Then her voice cuts in, clear and unscripted. I feel like I am walking through Antalya or Istanbul. Her words, captured in the metadata and echoed in the translation bar, are not just a passing remark. They are a verdict, a warning. The message is simple. This does not look or feel like Paris anymore. The video ricochets across social media, picked up not by newsrooms, but by ordinary people sensing a shift they are told to ignore. No police, no journalists, no official acknowledgement. Just a moment, frozen and broadcast by a stranger, that says this space is ours now too. The pattern is not limited to Christmas markets. It is spreading, and the silence from the institutions is deafening. Night falls on Hanover's Christmas market. Suddenly, a group pushes through the crowd, a cluster of young men, faces half hidden by hoods, weaving between families and children. A sharp hiss cuts through the music and laughter. In a flash, a firework rockets sideways, its trajectory unmistakable, aimed low, straight toward a child's stroller. Panic erupts. Screams, scrambling feet, a mother's cry. The phone camera jolts, catching the chaos in a single, unsteady frame. The video spreads like wildfire, first on encrypted channels, then bouncing across Facebook groups and Telegram feeds. The uploader, known only as @MarkedWatch 2024, says the footage was shot at 7:43 p.m. on December 17, 2024. Digital analysts pore over the file. EXIF data, stripped by social platforms, leaves only a shadow of the original timestamp. Forensic frame-by-frame review confirms the location, the illuminated arches, the marked Kirche's spire in the background, the layout matching satellite images of Bahnhofplatz. But the child's face is blurred, a nod to German privacy law or an attempt to erase the victim. The local police spokesperson appears on camera, measured but firm, and says they have reviewed the footage and that no criminal act can be confirmed at this time, but the investigation remains open. The official line is clear, the protocol rehearsed. Yet the evidence is right there, in the metadata, in the faces that fill the frame. This is not hearsay, this is not rumor. This is the moment the sanctuary is breached, and the story moves from perception to hard fact. What does it mean when a group chooses a Christmas market, a city park, or a cathedral square as the stage for disruption? This is not random mischief. It is a message delivered in the language of territory and ritual. The pattern is clear to anyone willing to see it. First, the location, always a site loaded with meaning, where tradition is thick in the air. Second, the timing, never on an ordinary day, but at the peak of cultural celebration when the eyes of a community are turned inward. Third, the act itself, not just presence, but spectacle, an interruption, a noise, a confrontation that forces everyone to notice. And fourth, the aftermath, silence from the authorities. A studied refusal to connect the dots, as if each breach exists in a vacuum. This is the dominance framework. It is not about isolated bad behavior. It is about asserting in the most public way possible that the old rules no longer apply, that these spaces, these moments, belong to others now too. If you want to judge whether an incident fits the pattern, ask these questions. Does it target a symbolic space? Does it happen at a charged moment? Is it repeated? And do the institutions pretend it never happened? This is the checklist. This is how cultural dominance is staked and denied in the same breath. Berlin's city grid is not a desert of exclusion. The map does not lie. More than 80 mosques and registered prayer spaces are scattered across the German capital, their addresses logged in municipal records and open-source registries. In districts from Neukölln to Wedding, from Kreuzberg to Charlottenburg, the density of worship sites is unmistakable, far higher than most European cities. The clusters are not hidden. They sit beside tram stops, above corner shops, in converted storefronts, and in purpose-built halls. This is not a question of access or necessity. Anyone who wishes to pray in Berlin can find a door, a sign, a gathering within walking distance. The city's own data confirms it. These spaces are not rare, not marginalized, not on the fringes. So when groups choose to kneel in the middle of a public square or chant prayers in the open air, it is not because there is nowhere else to go. The act is deliberate, performed before a captive audience in the symbolic heart of another tradition's territory. The message is delivered not in whispers, but in the geography of presence, here, now, in full view. The pattern is written not just in moments, but in the map itself. A church bell rings, echoing through stone walls built for Christian worship. Suddenly a new sound cuts through, the adhan, the Islamic call to prayer, amplified and unmistakable. Parishioners freeze, hymn books open as the ancient words fill the nave. The date is October 8th, 2023. The location is St. Johannes in Cologne, confirmed by the vaulted ceiling and stained glass in the background. The audio spreads online, sparking outrage and confusion. But forensic analysis tells a different story. A spectral scan of the recording reveals two separate tracks, the choir's hymn and the adhan, blended with a telltale digital lag. The church bulletin for that Sunday lists only traditional hymns, no mention of any interfaith event. The diocese issues a statement, This is a manipulated recording. No such incident occurred during our service. A Muslim community representative responds, "We reject these provocations. They are designed to sow division." On camera, a migration policy expert weighs in. These viral clips are not evidence of a religious confrontation. They are evidence of a narrative war. The real disruption is happening online, not in the pews. Yet the pattern remains. The intrusion is not just physical, but auditory. The line between fact and fabrication grows thin, but the effect is the same. Ritual space, once secure, is now contested, not only by bodies, but by sound. The story moves past borders and into the realm of perception, where the next escalation is just a click away. Supermarket aisles gutted in seconds, shelves toppled, glass crunching underfoot. No official suspect, no public statement. A reporter in Frankfurt, microphone in hand, is surrounded and shouted down. The confrontation live-streamed and then scrubbed from news feeds. Across the Rhine in Strasbourg, a crowd gathers outside a cathedral. Arabic prayers ring out, echoing against stained stone, while worshippers inside stare in disbelief. In Barcelona, a Ramadan market pops up overnight, blocking Christmas stalls. City permits backdate the event, but the timing is no accident. In London's Hyde Park and Paris's Place de la République, phone footage repeats the same choreography. Clusters of men, pointed glances, a sudden outburst. And always the sense that these spaces are being claimed, not visited. Timestamps, permit records, police logs. Each incident stands alone, but the pattern is unmistakable. This is not a German story. It is continental, and each time the official response is silence. 48 hours, 72, not a single headline. The official archives of ARD, ZDF, and NDR show nothing. No mention of a firework, no word about a child, no hint that anything happened in Hannover's Christmas market at all. Search logs from those days are blank, as if the incident never existed. The public record is empty. Editors at Germany's public broadcasters, when pressed, offer a familiar refrain. No confirmation of a reportable event. One newsroom email, dated December 24th, spells it out. We have no coverage of the alleged market disturbance. Should new information arise, we will review. But new information never comes because the story is locked out at the editorial gate. The rationale is simple: editorial prioritization, risk of fueling xenophobia. These are not isolated oversights, they are policy. The pattern is not just in the streets, it is in the silence, in the empty search fields, in the vanished headlines. When the public turns to the news for answers, they find only a wall of omission. The message is clear. If the narrative does not fit, it will not be told. August 31st, 2015, Berlin's government quarter. Angela Merkel stands before a wall of microphones and utters 3 words that would echo across a continent. We are schaffen das. We can do this. The message was clear: Germany would open its doors, and with them, its cultural core. This was not a policy footnote. It was a mandate that shaped every newsroom, every editorial call, every headline that never ran. From that moment, the official stance was set. Incidents that might disrupt the narrative of harmony and integration were filtered out, dismissed, or quietly buried. The silence that followed was not accidental. It was the echo of a political decree still reverberating years later in every story that goes untold. Tonight in Germany, the old boundaries are shifting, and everyone sees it except those paid not to. When a tourist says they feel like they are walking through Antalya or Istanbul, that is not confusion. That is a warning. Ignore the dominance framework and your silence becomes the story. Subscribe for more unfiltered truth.